Tonight, Port Augusta's prison expansion puts additional strain on the local health system. And a much-needed jobs boost for the disability sector in Whyalla.
This is Southern Cross News with Fraser Goldsworthy.
Good evening. A parliamentary inquiry has found the expansion of the Port Augusta prison is putting excessive pressure on the local hospital and a worsening doctor shortage. Amelia Simpson has more.
100 extra inmates here at the Port Augusta prison has introduced the potential for 100 extra patients. A parliamentary inquiry into regional health services has found the local hospital is feeling the squeeze under the expansion with the need for more medical professionals. The Social Development Committee, chaired by MLC Gail Gago, heard feedback from 58 individuals detailing the increased pressure on doctors' workloads in Port Augusta. The inquiry heard that the prison was increasing from 498 to 626 inmates with no appropriate health system in place. SA's Rural Doctors Association president says Port Augusta doctors are under the pump.
So the GPs that are working in Port Augusta are working in a very, very stressful situation. They're having to cover a very busy emergency department as well as their own practices.
The inquiry heard from a Port Augusta doctor that GPs are leaving the Port Augusta hospital because the township's classification technically means it's not under-resourced. The Port Augusta hospital is currently classified by the Commonwealth as an outer regional area with no doctor shortages.
This is one big stumbling block, and if the federal government can change the categorisation of Port Augusta, we might find it easier to attract more doctors to come and work there.
It was the committee's 30th recommendation that the Minister for Health lobby to have this classification removed. It was also recommended that the Country Health SA local health network review its policies to provide more incentives for GPs to stay in the region.
Amelia Simpson reporting there. It's been revealed Nyrstar will no longer negotiate a new enterprise agreement for workers at the Port Pirie smelter. The company says discussions have focused on the financial position of the business and any impact higher wages would have. Rachel Nell has more.
Since the beginning of this year, Nyrstar has been in the process of negotiating a new enterprise agreement for employees at the smelter with the Fair Work Commission. The two parties were making some headway, but negotiations have now hit a roadblock, with neither party planning further discussions. Nyrstar offered employees a 4% pay increase in July 2019 and an incentive payment linked to the successful ramp-up of the new plant within the next 2 years. But employees rejected this offer, saying they'll accept nothing less than a 6% increase. The unions are yet to put forward any new plans for improvement, influencing Nyrstar's decision to terminate the agreement. In a statement to Southern Cross News, Nyrstar says it has advised the Fair Work Commission that it sees no benefits from additional meetings and therefore is seeking to terminate the current enterprise agreement. Nyrstar lodged an application with the Fair Work Commission this week to terminate the current agreement, and if the application's accepted, employees of Port Pirie smelter will then be covered by the 2010 Mining Industry Award.
Rachel Nell in Port Pirie there. For the first time, South Australia's national parks and heritage sites will be open for business development to entice interstate and overseas visitors. The Neptune Islands off the coast of the Eyre Peninsula have been flagged as a potential nature-based tourism venture.
For decades, people have been making the 3-hour journey out to the Neptune Islands off the coast of Port Lincoln to see great whites. But that could soon change.
If you've got a good idea, it might be a helipad, chopper people in, and then they don't have to spend the whole day getting out on a boat to Neptune from Port Lincoln.
The state government is inviting business proposals to create tourist-friendly business ventures at some of SA's most renowned national parks.
Historically, we've seen national parks as something that's been tucked away, locked away, and not had access for people to go in there and develop things. What we want to do now is say, look, we're open for business.
It's all part of a government expansion to increase the state's tourism economy to $8 billion by 2020.
We want to make sure we keep growing it. We've put $70 million extra into funding the marketing of South Australia, of Port Lincoln, of Kangaroo Island, of McLaren Vale, Barossa Valley, all of our regions, but we always want to do more.
18 unique sites have been flagged, including the Mount Lofty Ranges and Kangaroo Island, but developing the Neptune Islands could see the largest growth.
International tourism operators who might see some opportunity here that might require millions of dollars of investment, but they think they can add to their global showcase of environmental activities.
Expressions of interest will be open until January next year. Jason Kemp, Southern Cross News.
It seems parking in Broken Hill's city centre is becoming more accessible thanks to new fine enforcement technology. City Council says fewer motorists are being pinged for overstaying their welcome on main streets.
There's no doubt finding a free spot to park in any city centre is no easy feat, and the Silver City is no exception.
So we've always looking at ways to improve accessibility into the CBD, and parking is obviously a big issue.
This unique LPR pin force system has been in use for 3 months. Attached to a council ranger's car, it scans vehicles on the city's busiest streets at any given time of the day. The ranger then comes back later and scans again to see who's overstayed their welcome.
We need a way that we could improve our efficiency and make it easier for us to enforce parking so that everyone can get equal access to the area.
More than 5,000 vehicles were scanned from July to September, resulting in more than 120 fines being issued. But it's not all doom and gloom. It seems motorists are learning their lesson.
3% of people are not complying with parking, which is down dramatically from speaking to parking enforcement staff. It was about 25% a couple of years ago, just anecdotally, and it's now down to about 3% non-compliance, so that's a really great improvement, something we're really happy with.
It's all about freeing up space in the city's CBD and help out local businesses.
What we want to see is a turnover of cars. We want to see people coming into the CBD, doing their business, having a coffee, visiting the shops, buying some stuff, and then going about their day and freeing up those car parks for more people to come in and continue that trade and increase the traffic through both the car parks and through the local businesses.
Patrick Reinke, Southern Cross News.
Still to come in tonight's local news, a much needed jobs boost for a disability support organisation in Whyalla. The quick thinking of a Good Samaritan has saved a supermarket in Port Pirie from being destroyed by fire. An electrical fault is believed to be the cause of a small blaze that broke out this afternoon.
Emergency services raced to the Food Plus market on York Road just before 1 this afternoon.
Red like flames through the top of the freezer unit, so I got a fire hydrant as well, and then we both just sprayed the fire hydrant powder, and then we just poked the roof and kept spraying until we couldn't see it anymore.
The MFS worked quickly to extinguish the blaze which had broken out at the rear of the building.
The fire brigade just made sure we got clear, and then they came in to investigate, and then they just said that was electrical fire.
Fire crews praised the quick thinking of a Good Samaritan who alerted Miss Chumpy to smoke billowing from the roof of the building. Authorities saying it could have been much worse.
That man that came in and helped me, the fire brigade thanked me and him. They said that if we didn't act as quick as we did with fire hydrants, that it could have been disastrous.
Management is asking for the man to come forward again so he can be acknowledged for his good deed.
The man that came to help me, I'd really like him to come and say hello and introduce himself again so I can thank him in person.
Food Plus will reopen once the electricity supply has been fixed. Damage is estimated at $1,000. Rachel Nell, Southern Cross News.
Meantime, a fire has caused $100,000 damage to the Royal Exchange Hotel in Kadina. Crews were called to the pub at 2:30 this morning. It's believed the blaze started in the kitchen, where it took 20 minutes for firefighters to extinguish the fire. No one was injured. The heavens opened in Broken Hill last night as the Silver City experienced more than just a springtime shower. Our reporter Patrick Reinke has more.
The calendar says spring, but the rain gods were out last night. What started as a cool evening shower suddenly escalated to a heavy downpour. While it only lasted 10 minutes with a flash of lightning every now and then, it took its toll. William Street was transformed into a river, as intersections on Iodide Street resembled small lakes. The Bureau of Meteorology's rain gauge at the airport in the city's south only recorded 9 millimetres, but locals further north estimate nothing less than 20. There were even reports of over 30 millimetres further north. While some motorists waded their cars through cautiously, others were more adventurous. It wasn't the wettest Broken Hill day on record though. That honour is still held by one day back in 1983. Wind gusts of up to 70 kilometres an hour were the fastest of the month so far, and the moisture was at its peak at around 68% humidity. It was a sunny and bright day in the Silver City today, with a top of 22 making for a more expected spring day. Temperatures are expected to rise over the coming week, reaching 30 degrees by Wednesday.
Police in the far north are harnessing the power of social media to connect with the community. With around 6,000 viewers and dozens of questions, they say this week's live Facebook forum was a resounding success.
A table for 6 and 6,000 others who joined the Far North Police online.
I'd like to welcome you to our interaction with you today.
Hosting their second Facebook forum, the Far North Police are logging on and connecting with the community more than ever.
It provides people with an instant answer and also a way that they can look at the people who do police their communities and have access to the senior management team as well.
With a service area from Port Augusta to the Northern Territory border, online question time like this is an easy way for police to speak with thousands across the vast region at once.
An easy way of being able to, I guess, grasp the size of it is to know that it's actually bigger than Texas and bigger than the entire state of New South Wales. So to be able to reach people in remote and rural communities is really important, and technology is a great way to be able to do that.
Questions from interested locals ranged from police presence to self-defence and traffic.
We can have statistics and figures about what our priorities are, but we know that every community is different and has different priorities. So this is a chance for them to be able to say to us what they think is important to them.
Some participants even took the time to leave a compliment for police or a gesture of thanks.
I know that historically what we have pushed out through the media has been very a negative focus on policing, so it's all about people who have been reported or arrested or the bad things that have happened in our communities. But we know there's some fantastic stuff that's happening in our local communities, and this is a fantastic way of being able to promote that view.
Police are also taking advantage of other social media platforms with a presence on Instagram to share the lighter side of policing.
We're very lucky that we've got some very technologically savvy officers who love Instagram, and so they've really taken the chance to be able to give that feedback to the community.
Amelia Simpson, Southern Cross News.
A disability support organisation in Whyalla will employ an extra 25 people to meet the demand from the rollout of the NDIS. The state government has welcomed the news and is encouraging locals to consider a career in the expanding sector.
It's no secret the NDIS is a major reform, with the rollout predicted to support thousands of people with disabilities. And as more people access services, the Disability Minister says there'll be a need for more jobs.
Around 450 of those new jobs will be in the Whyalla region, and around 600 people in the Whyalla region will receive services and supports for the very first time.
One Whyalla-based organisation is already on the expansion path. Community Support Incorporated has announced it'll expand its workforce by 25 in the city to cater for demand.
That NDIS will make services available to twice as many people as currently have access to funding. So this will grow our business.
The company already has 75 employees in the city who work one-on-one with each client.
We allow people to work at times that suit them. So if it suits you to work for an hour in the morning, we can deliver an hour.
A regional disability expo will roll into town in November. The Minister is encouraging locals to attend and consider a career in the sector, saying it's an intense but rewarding job.
Making sure that people living with disability can fully and actively participate in every aspect of community life and indeed in our economy.
John Hunt, Southern Cross News.
3 Whyalla University students have been awarded a $1,000 scholarship at the city's campus this morning. Supported by Bendigo Bank, students have to go through an application process detailing their aims and career objectives. Students Melissa Schneck, Melissa Ireland and Chris Mills were the successful applicants this year. Ms Ireland is studying social work and says the grants have helped assist with the costs of her course.
It means quite a lot with having to purchase textbooks and printing and just even travelling.
Bendigo Bank's Judy Arbery says it's important to support local students and their education.
Invest in our communities. We love to get behind these individuals to help them with their journey through their studies.
Time to see what's biting around the Gulf now. Here's Fish and Tips.
Welcome another week around the Gulf Fishing Tips. I tell you what, it was hard work last weekend to try and get out, Saturday blowy as it was. But anyway, we got around. There's a few squid at Checkerboy if you want to drift through there. There's a few snapper floating around in that area as well, but not really taking the bait too well. We come back around the Third Creek patches and had a decent look around there. A lot of the old trumpeters, which we don't really want, but a few blue swimmer crabs, which is nice to see. And there's a few salmon floating around in that area too. Not much to have this week, but I think we've got a bit of a blow coming over the weekend. It'd be worthwhile having another look.
G'day and welcome to this week's Fishing Tips from Port Augusta, Jewel North. Well, the weather's been up and down, but the fish are absolutely everywhere at the moment. Big King George whiting, squid, but the big news is there's a lot of kingfish up around the top of the Gulf. So there's a school up there and launched on the other side. On a sadder note, we lost one of the most happiest fishermen I was ever lucky enough to meet, John Lloyd, so condolences to Marie and the family. That's all we have from the Jewel of the North. That's over to Whyalla.
Land-based out at Point Lowly, there's been some really big schools of salmon busting up all around the lighthouse and down towards the local tire reef there. So if you get in along the rocks there, I'm sure you can get into some really good fish. Just got to wait for them to start breaking the water and go and hit them with some lures. For the boat anglers, the whiting are really starting to show up in good numbers. It has been a little bit hit and miss closer to town, but out the front of Cudmore Terrace or Souths Football Club, there's been some good fish. Down towards Cowlands Landing and Menini, there's been some bag limits of whiting coming from there. For the snapper, there's only a few weeks to go before the annual ban kicks in, so now's the time to get up amongst them. There's been some good fish out towards the Ward Spit area in the deeper water, and also from the Point Lowly Rip.
G'day and welcome to Fishing Tips in Port Lincoln. We'll start locally in the bay. There have been a few patches of whiting. They are a little bit scattered, so you'll have to hunt around for them, but there are some fish in the proper. There are some squid within the bay. Once again, a little bit patchy, but once you find a patch of squid, you can generally get some good numbers fairly quickly. Down on the south coast of Port Lincoln, the Sleaford-Wanner stretch still has some schools of salmon. They're mainly around the 1 to 3 kilo mark. Moving over to the Coffin Bay side, there's still quite a few boats chasing kingfish within the bay. There are some salmon trout around and a few whiting within the bay. Down on the south coast in the Coffin Bay National Park, down along Gunya and Almonte, there are some salmon, but mainly salmon trout, some plump fish up to around about 1 kilo. The far west coast beaches over the past week or so have produced a few mulloway up to about 30 pounds, and there have been a few school sharks over that way too. Well, that's all for this week. We'll see you again next week with more fishing tips.
Stay with us after the break, a check of the local weather with Nicole.
Plenty of clear skies in Whyalla today, looking like it'll stay that way right through to the weekend. I'll have all the details next. Welcome back to the weather now. Clear skies right across the region today. Still pretty cool though, with a top of 24 in Port Augusta, dipping below 20 degrees in Port Lincoln, and we saw blue skies in Whyalla and Port Pirie as well. Showers hanging around for another day in Adelaide. To the satellite, a bit of patchy cloud over southern parts of South Australia with unstable westerly winds is triggering the odd light shower. On the Gulf waters, winds of up to 20 knots on the way, seas reaching 1 metre, sunrise at 6:43, sundown 7:30. It's looking like a pretty good day tomorrow too. After a bit of stormy weather, we'll be soaking up the sun in Port Augusta for 25 tomorrow, a touch cooler in Whyalla and Port Pirie, plenty of blue skies on offer in Woodner and Broken Hill, but a bit of a different story for Port Lincoln and Adelaide with showers on the way. Looking ahead, the wet weather is short-lived in Port Lincoln, skies clearing to start the weekend and plenty of sunshine in sight for Cleve and Woodner, reaching 34 by Monday afternoon. A similar story for Whyalla too, seeing a top of 33 to kick off next week. A lovely weekend on the way in Port Augusta and Kadina as well. And a good weekend to relax in Port Pirie, seeing temperatures push into the high 20s. Similar conditions on the way for Clare and Broken Hill. So we have plenty of blue skies on the way for a lovely weekend.
Thanks, Nicole. See you tomorrow. And that's all the news for now. Thanks for your company. I'll have updates later on tonight. Until then, have a lovely evening. Good night.